Okay, yesterday we had a chance to sit down with E. Jean Carroll, the woman who accuses President Trump of sexual assault. She told me how she sees a pattern surrounding all of the allegations against the president.
With all the 15 women or 16 who've come forward, it's the same. He denies it, he turns it around, he attacks, and he threatens. And then everybody forgets it, and then the next woman comes along, and I am sick of it. Allison, I am sick of it. Think how many women have come forward. Nothing happens.
All right, back with us, we have our CNN political commentators, Anna Navarro and Margaret Hoover, also attorney Nancy Erika Smith. Anna, she's talking about the 15 women who came forward during 2016 to accuse the president of somewhere on the spectrum between sexual assault, sexual misconduct. Has anything changed 3 years later where we hear it differently in 2019?
I think a lot has changed. Look, we have the Time's Up movement. We have the Me Too movement. Women have stopped being silent. Women have lost fear. Women are believed a lot more than they once were. I think that the amount of women that are today in Congress that ran for office for the first time, many of them won, is a direct result of the anger and frustration that many women felt at the idea that a man got away with it and got elected president. I think you can, one of the silver linings to the Trump misadministration is the fact that so many women got off their butts and said, we're going to do something about it. We're not going to take this anymore, and ran for office. And I think it's different because you have so many women running for president right now. Back in 2016, you had Hillary Clinton, who, as I said, was burdened and saddled by the actions of her husband, and Bernie Sanders. Today, you have a prosecutor running for president. You've got Kamala Harris. You've got Elizabeth Warren. You've got Amy Klobuchar. You've got a slew of women who I hope take the opportunity to remind America that the man who's in the White House is indecent and has no moral compass, and that we need that back in the White House. We deserve that back as Americans, and that it is important and should be a requirement to the presidency.
Margaret, you're in the Republican circles. Do you think things have changed with the way people hear these things 3 years later?
Well, you can look at just the numbers from 2018 and look at the largest swath of voters that didn't vote Republican, that voted Republican in 2016, were suburban, educated women who were turned off and frankly disgusted by the tone and the tenor and the rhetoric coming from the highest office in the land. I mean, that is the driver, and that is a critical swing vote in 2020. And Anna's right, things have changed. Look, nothing changes overnight, all right? But you cannot tell me that the women's movement and Me Too and Time's Up happened in a vacuum. All right, they are responses to many, many things and many, many forces all coming together at once. And one of those forces was the election of Donald Trump. I mean, there's a reason hundreds of thousands of women marched on Washington right after he was elected. And that, even though that movement itself, it phased out over time, there have been others. And there is a groundswell of women who, I frankly think women like E. Jean King, E. Jean Carroll give voice and sort of remind and catalyze that movement again. So this is a key outlier. It's a swing element that is not fully accounted for. You can't really account for it in the polling, but it is going to be a factor in the 2020 presidential race.
I think there's a backlash to the Me Too movement. I don't think men are going to easily give up their power. And we have a misogynist culture, we have a sexist culture, and we're not going to change it overnight, but we are changing it. We are galvanized, I think, by Trump's election. And an interesting thing, things do take time. As Margaret said, Summer Zervos' case, defamation case against Donald Trump, has been upheld. He's going to be deposed.
After office?
No.
After he's out of office. In office, he can do it?
Yes.
He can be deposed
yes.
while he's in office. When is that going to happen?
I think it's supposed to happen before the end of the summer. So he's going to be deposed, like we saw. It changed Cosby's life to have that, and it changed Bill Clinton's as well, when he didn't know what "and" meant or
what is is.
Great point. That is really interesting. Okay, on a totally different topic. Well, we have time.
And something else that has changed, Allison, is something else that has changed is that today we know something that we didn't know in 2016, which is that there were women who were paid hush money. We know about Susan McDougal, and we know about Stormy Daniels. And Michael Cohen is sitting in jail because he was a conduit to pay hush money to women. We know that the President of the United States was cheating on the wife that had just given birth with a stripper and with a Playboy bunny, and was cheating on the Playboy bunny with a stripper. We know that.
Okay, those are interesting points. Thank you all for raising them, and we will see. Obviously, we don't know today, but we'll see if any of this makes an impact. Thank you all, ladies. Great to talk to you and have you here in studio. John.